Hi, I'm Todd. I'm 37. I'm a management consultant to do with the NDIS. I live in Brisbane with my wife. I have severe cerebral palsy, known as spastic quadriplegia, which affects both my arms and legs. I'm trained as a political science academic, so I've studied and taught subjects ranging from political leadership, public policy, disability policy, and the media's relationship to the political climate. When I was diagnosed, I was 9 months old. When that diagnosis came, the doctor told my parents, and to quote him, that I'd be a vegetable. I wouldn't be able to do anything except blink. I was very fortunate that I have two very committed parents. So I progressed at a rate that nobody basically expected. I was able to talk when I was 4.5. I was able to feed myself and go to the toilet. I was one of the first children to be integrated into a mainstream school, children with a disability, and I was able to complete primary school and high school. And I was a very obnoxious teenager and basically told everyone who would listen that I wanted to be Prime Minister of Australia for two reasons. Society doesn't consider or explore the fact that people with disabilities can be smart, let alone academic minded. And I also have always had the goal in various different forms that I wanted to transcend my disability, and Prime Minister was the ultimate transcendence, basically. I had a very rocky stage about a decade ago when I was trying to find myself and figure out what does it actually mean for me to be disabled. For a lot of my life prior to my mid-20s, I was actually in denial about the fact that I didn't like my disability. And that time in my life, I sort of came to the conclusion that, yes, despite what I've been able to achieve, my disability is something that I don't wish to have and something that I struggle with and confront on a daily basis. But I think it's really important, if you have the intellectual ability and the ability to communicate with others, that you have to educate the public, because they're not going to know any other way. And people don't actually know what goes on for a person with a disability until you share that information. Most definitely, the common factor with the NDIS is the people who have the most knowledge and expertise in certain areas are the ones that get the most out of their plans. The NDIS really focuses on dependence. The very nature of the model for getting money for assistance for things that you can't do means that you have to focus on what you can't do. So it's very important to get a very good support coordinator, one that understands your needs, but also one that can help you navigate the system really well. And the other thing I tell people specifically about that, their planning meetings, is, as I mentioned before, the NDIS is all about dependence. So I'll just use myself as an example. You have to tell the NDIS what your worst day is like, rather than what your best day is. Just in general terms, that process of going through what what you're not good at is a traumatic experience. So don't dive into the NDIS straight away. Do your research. Make sure that you're in a good psychological state to actually confront what you're confronting, and also get a good support team involved. Also, try and develop an application and then send it off to a third party, not necessarily your family, somebody that's able to be impartial and have a third eye, so to speak, to say, well, you might want to mention this particular thing and not mention this particular thing, just so you can get a wide variety of perspective. Because when you're trying to get the funding, you want to try and get the most funding possible. And often at times when you try and focus on what you can do, you often look past the things that you can't. And it's very vital when you approach the NDIS that you have to express in detail all the things that you can't do. When you're trying to get the funding, you want to try and get the most funding possible. And often at times when you try and focus on what you can do, you often look past the things that you can't. And it's very vital when you approach the NDIS that you have to express in detail all the things that you can't do.